It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, huge questions for the Prime Minister as he admits he knew about Peter Mandelson's ongoing friendship with Jeffrey Epstein when he made him ambassador to Washington. Sir Keir Starmer's judgment was called into question repeatedly in the Commons this afternoon. And in the face of a Labour rebellion, he has been forced into a climb-down over the release of documents relating to Mandelson's appointment.
Did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
Prime Minister.
Yes, it did. As a result, various questions were put to him.
Meanwhile, explosive new claims about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, as legal letters found in the Epstein files suggest the former prince and the paedophile financier had a threesome with an exotic dancer. Also tonight, shocking footage of drones being used to fly drugs and weapons into UK prisons. Officials say this is a new era in organised crime. We filmed in one prison taking drastic action to try to stop the near constant stream of contraband. Plus, tributes to snooker player and commentator John Virgo, who has died at the age of 79. I'll speak to his friend and colleague and former snooker world champion, Ken Doherty. Plus, we'll meet the 91-year-old great-grandfather who's back winning medals on the trampoline after last competing 40 years ago. Well, that's come, and much more on the UK Tonight. Tonight, Sir Keir Starmer is facing one of the biggest crises of his premiership over his decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States. As the fallout from the Epstein files continues, the Prime Minister admitted today that he knew of Mandelson's continued association with Epstein even after he was convicted when he sent him to Washington. Well, it's led to a bruising afternoon in the Commons, with the PM's judgment repeatedly questioned. Let's take a listen to what was said.
I am asking the Prime Minister something very specific, not about the generalities of the full extent. Can the Prime Minister tell us, did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
So clear. Prime Minister.
Yes, it did. As a result, various questions were put to him. I intend to disclose to this House all of the national security, prejudice to international relations on one side. I want to make sure this House sees the full documentation, so it will see for itself the extent to which time and time again Mandelson completely misrepresented the extent of his relationship with Epstein and lied throughout the process, including in response to the due diligence.
Cabinet Office Minister Nick Thomas-Symonds spoke on behalf of the government in the debate that followed PMQs today. He came under pressure from several MPs, including Labour backbenchers, who suggested the Intelligence and Security Committee should have a role deciding which documents relating to Mandelson's appointment are released, something the Prime Minister has since accepted. Let's have a listen.
In 2022, I proposed a humble address seeking information about PPE, which the party opposite resisted, and my honourable friend, the member for Hackney South, mentioned just before. Should we not have the ISC not have the same role now in keeping public confidence in the process?
Can I say it's disappointing that neither the opposition or the government had a reference to the important role that the ISC could have in this basis. Can I say to him, as a member of the Intelligence and Security Committee, I've also spoken to the Chair, the Lord Beamish, and we've heard from the Deputy Chair before, that we feel the Intelligence and Security Committee should be involved in this and help this process.
The temperature in the House seems to be that most people feel that involving the ISC will give both this House and, more importantly, the public confidence about this process. Now, it sounds as if the Minister is sympathetic to this point. Can he just confirm that he is sympathetic at that point and he will be making the case to Downing Street for this tweak?
The events closely. Our political editor, Beth Rigby, who's in Westminster for us tonight. And Beth, that trip to China with the Prime Minister seems like a long time ago, and all the controversies associated with that. The Prime Minister has come back to this, and this looks bad. Just how bad is it for him?
Yeah, this has been an extremely difficult day, SJ, for the Prime Minister, and you just played out some of the clips from Prime Minister's questions and then this debate. Let me unpack it a bit and explain the significance. In Prime Minister's question, the first big hammer blow for Keir Starmer really was under question from Kemi Badenoch when he admitted for the first time, I think, that the vetting process that Lord Mandelson had gone through when they were considering appointing him as US Ambassador, which they did in 2025, did reveal in the official vetting process that Mandelson had kept that ongoing friendship with Epstein post-conviction, and the Prime Minister there acknowledging that in the House of Commons in front of his MPs was quite a moment, because what it told them was that Prime Minister knew that and he still took the decision to appoint Mandelson. So that is a clear question about his judgment. And then following from that, things got even more difficult for the Prime Minister, because you saw in this debate was all about the Conservatives trying to compel the government to release information and all of the information about the Mandelson files, the correspondence between ministers and advisors and Mandelson and the decision to appoint him as the ambassador. And the government had agreed that they would release this information, but said that they would withhold some information that they decided might affect national security or international relations. Now, their own MPs, and you saw Angela Rayner there lead this rebellion, said, no, that is not good enough. We don't want number 10 to oversee what should and shouldn't be released. We want the Intelligence and Security Committee of the House of Commons of Parliament to oversee that. And why is that significant? Because what it tells you is that his own MPs do not trust the government to do that. They want independent oversight, and that gives you a sense of how angry MPs are about all of this. And so the Prime Minister was bounced into that. And then the third thing that has been a hammer blow for him today is that the Met Police late afternoon made it very clear in a statement that they did not want Downing Street to release any information that they would say could prejudice a criminal investigation they are now holding into Peter Mandelson, and whether back in 2009 when he was first in government, whether or not he leaked market-sensitive information. And that means that number 10 now are going to have to withhold information that the Prime Minister, as I understand it, believes would exonerate him, or at least explain to his MPs why he took the decisions he did, and the extent to which his allies and himself actually in the Commons say that he was misled. He now cannot release that information, which really puts him in a difficult predicament. And I have to say, tonight, the mood in the House is febrile. Many MPs are messaging me saying they feel too compromised by that runs up to some ministers. So it's really a live question at the moment whether this is a tinderbox that is about to be lit and get even more precarious for the Prime Minister, or whether or not the government can just dampen this down. It really is unclear tonight, and it's very, very febrile, SJ.
As you said, the information now in the hands of the police and the Intelligence and Security Committee, so there will be a bit of time before both parties report back. But as you said, in the meantime, this vacuum, this tinderbox, what is going to happen next for the Prime Minister? Can he wait until they report back?
Well, look, this is what is unclear. You know, Downing Street earlier in the day, I think, wanted to try and release some information imminently to try and back up the Prime Minister's position, to try and reassure MPs that he really was misled. They now can't do that. But look, there's a bigger scandal in all of this, actually, which is this could be the biggest scandal of the century in terms of the historical position of what Peter Mandelson did in the previous government, because he is now under criminal investigation for allegedly leaking market-sensitive, top-secret government information to Jeffrey Epstein. And that is now under investigation. If he's prosecuted and convicted, he will potentially face a prison sentence, which is why I'm talking about the scandal on this scale not seen in decades. And the difficulty for Keir Starmer is that he has brought this scandal that could have been historic right to his front door by putting Mandelson back into post as ambassador. Now, he sacked him in September, but the revelations today point to a question of judgment for him. And now there's going to have to be a real effort to try and calm MPs down. But there's questions about whether this has got beyond his control. I would really say he is fighting for survival this evening. It's very unclear which way this will go.
OK, Beth, I know you'll be following it whichever way it does go over the coming days and weeks. Beth Rigby, our political editor there, with the latest from Westminster. Beth, thank you. Now, the former Prince Andrew has left his home in Windsor to take up residence on the Sandringham estate. However, the explosive claims about his links to Jeffrey Epstein have followed him to Norfolk. Legal letters revealed in the file suggest that the pair had a threesome with an exotic dancer. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing, but an email that was apparently sent by Ghislaine Maxwell appears to contradict his previous comments about Virginia Giuffre. Our royal correspondent Laura Bundock has this next report.
The former home of the former Prince Andrew. He left Royal Lodge on Monday, but he can't escape the questions. Found in the recent dump of documents a statement from Ghislaine Maxwell, which appears to cast doubt about Andrew's denial of this image. She describes a photo being taken of him in 2001 in her home. He'd insisted he was at Pizza Express in Woking on the evening in question. And found, too, this legal letter appearing to represent a stripper who claimed she performed for Epstein and Andrew. It says, Mr. Epstein and Prince Andrew then told my client they wanted to have a threesome. She said she was hired to dance, not to have sex. Mr. Epstein said they would pay her later for dancing, and they prevailed upon her to engage in various sex acts. We approached Andrew's office for comment. Also found in the files more emails thought to be from a Russian woman who Epstein had invited Andrew to meet. She emails Epstein, "Hi Jeffrey, how are you? I booked the tickets. We'll be in London August 20th to 25th. Epstein replies, "Great." 3 days later, he emails an address called The Duke, saying, "I have a friend who I think you might enjoy having dinner with. Her name is, she will be in London 20th to 24th. The Duke replies, "Of course, I'm in Geneva until the morning of 22nd, but would be delighted to see her. Will she be bringing a message from you?" On the 23rd, she emails Epstein, "I had an amazing night, thank you." And 2 days later says, "Thank you again for everything. My trip has been a really special adventure." We don't know if this Russian woman is the same Russian who claims she was trafficked to the UK and sent to spend the night with Andrew at Royal Lodge. But we know Thames Valley Police is assessing these allegations.
It's not the first time authorities here have been involved. In 2020, the US formally asked the UK for help arranging an interview with Andrew, making what's known as an MLA request. But the UK resisted. Now, in amongst the Epstein files, we found these emails between the US Department of Justice and the Home Office.
One says, "All we want to do is ask some questions. Do they really refuse to permit that?" Now calls for the US to try talking to Andrew again.
What I'd like to know is what he knows of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his entire enterprise, as well as his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, because it's very clear that he had a close one.
Andrew strongly denies any wrongdoing. The law firm he used didn't respond to our requests for comment. He's now starting life here in rural Norfolk, out of sight, but still in the minds of those investigating the crimes of Epstein. Laura Bundock, Sky News.
And Laura joins me now in the studio. I mean, Laura, where to start? should we go back to that photograph? That photograph that seems to be central to the former prince's involvement in the Epstein files. And that photo of Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Giuffre. There seems to be, in this latest tranche of files, buried in there information from Ghislaine Maxwell suggesting that it is real, that it is not a fake, as has long been said by Andrew and others.
Yeah, I mean, this photo marked a really pivotal moment, I think, for him. It's now infamous, isn't it? Him stood there with his arm around his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, Ghislaine Maxwell there in the background. And from this latest huge dump of all these documents, we found a draft statement from her which seems to contradict Andrew's version of events. So let me just read a tiny bit from that draft statement. So Ghislaine Maxwell says, in 2001, I was in London when, and the name is redacted here, met a number of friends of mine, including Prince Andrew. A photograph was taken, as I imagine she wanted to show it to friends and family. So this photo has been central, really, hasn't it? So much has been said about it. As you say, Andrew has always strongly denied any wrongdoing. He's denied ever meeting Virginia Giuffre, and he's denied having any recollection of that photograph itself being taken. But yet again, in all these documents, we've got more damaging revelations coming out, not just concerning the photo, but now concerning allegations about a threesome, a woman saying that she was a stripper, claiming that she was asked then by Epstein and Andrew to perform sex acts on them. More details and allegations about a Russian woman who Epstein had got in touch with, who came to the UK, and it was arranged that she would allegedly meet Andrew as well. Again, he denies any wrongdoing here, but the pressure is now mounting on him, I think, to testify. Not just in the US, and we heard the congressman in my report there asking for that, but closer to home as well. We know, a few years ago, the Home Office and the US authorities were talking to each other. The US was asking the Home Office here for their help in getting an interview with Andrew. Now there are renewed pressures on that whole process. We've got MPs on the Home Affairs Select Committee who have said to us the Home Office must do more. One telling us Britain must play a proactive role in seeking justice for Epstein's victims. This is a matter for Andrew now, but I certainly think if he thought he was starting a new life in rural Norfolk, the haunting from his past is not going to go away anytime soon.
OK, Laura, thank you. Laura Bundock there with the latest. Thank you. Now, the government wants to see 3/4 of cancer patients free of the disease or living well after 5 years within the next decade. Their long-awaited National Cancer Plan aims to drive earlier diagnosis, faster treatment and fewer delays in a bid to bring Britain back in line with other developed nations. Sky's health correspondent Ashish Joshi reports.
He was unresponsive. He was awake and looking at me, but he wasn't responding to anything I was saying.
Max celebrated his 14th birthday last November. Then, just 6 days later, he suffered a seizure. Max had been complaining of headaches for a year. His family says they weren't taken seriously. Scans confirmed their worst fears, a terminal brain tumour covering most of the left side of Max's brain. It is inoperable.
Me and my mum went into the doctors and they said I think it was just teenage migraines, I think they said it was.
The journey has just been unbelievably bad. It was a virus at one stage as well, so we were like, oh, that's brilliant. It's a virus, it'll go. But then it carried on, no, it is a brain tumour. To get told that, you can't put it into words, as a parent, it's just destroys you.
Max is undergoing radiotherapy in Nottingham. His desperate family continues to explore every treatment option available. That may mean travelling to Germany for specialised cell therapy.
If someone was in the same position as me, I'd be in 5 years' time, and I'd really hope they would have that decision to stay in here, to stay in England if they wanted to, and have what they'd have abroad now in England.
Cancer kills more children and young adults in England than anything else. Cases are up 15% since 1990, but survival rates have steadily increased over the same period.
where we are today is nowhere near where we should be.
The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has faced his own cancer journey. He was treated here by doctors at London's Royal Free Hospital after being diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Some of the most heartbreaking stories I've heard in this job are from those whose care lacked empathy and dignity, whose cancer was missed or test results lost, who were passed from pillar to post and kept in the dark about their condition, whose loved ones died before their turn came for surgery because the waits were too long.
The government's new cancer plan promises to deliver 9.5 million more tests by the end of this Parliament in 2029. It will increase robotic surgeries and expand genetic testing and the treatment of rarer cancers like Max's brain tumour in specialist centres like this one in Nottingham. But the problem is, a new cancer patient is identified every 75 seconds. So there are going to be hundreds of thousands of new patients over the next few years. And the question is the NHS in a position to cope when it's failed to meet every cancer target so far? If this plan is to succeed, it will need political backing, guaranteed funding, and the most advanced technology across the health service. Only then can it help patients like Max and their families in the future. Ashish Joshi, Sky News.
This has come on the UK tonight, a warning that gangs using drones to drop drugs and weapons into prisons are creating a whole new era of crime. And people who are unmarried, renting or employed full-time could be allowed to foster children under new plans to create 10,000 new places. And tributes for snooker legend John Virgo following his death at the age of 79.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist? I'm going to take you behind the scenes here for Election Night Live. They have gone up and up. Being a Sky News journalist. Ed Conway, Sky News, is anyone going to talk to us? Mortgage rates did go up very sharply during your time in office. Here it is. First off, just the scale of what we're looking at. Our data shows it's been happening. Question is, why it hasn't been stopped.
The governor of one of the UK's most notorious prisons has issued a warning that specialist gangs piloting drones to drop drugs and weapons into the facility have created a new era of crime. The concern from the governor of HMP Manchester emerged as a new report says ministers have been too slow to respond to urgent threats to security in the country's jails. Sky's Molly Malone has this report.
Absolutely bangers, bro. Security's on it and everything.
Captured from the inside of a prison cell.
Won't let them go past. Security.
A drone dangling a package at the end, making its way into a high-security prison in Manchester.
No.
It was later intercepted by staff.
So they can fly them in from miles away?
Yeah.
But the governor here says the issue of drones delivering drugs and weapons is a major and growing threat.
It's gone from, say, haphazard, perhaps youngsters or disorganised local criminals to now being gangs that are specialising in this and are focusing on this and are making a lot of money from doing it. So are working up and down the country to beat our systems. We've got prisoners that we're catching with Rambo-style knives. We've had a machete in the prison. We've had all sorts of manufactured lock knives. The knives that we see that they do manufacture themselves, they're able to get Stanley blades flown in on drones so that they can make or carpet cutting blades.
And that must be scary for staff.
It is very scary for staff, and that makes staff take a step back.
This is supposed to be one of the most highly secure institutions in the country. Instead, the Chief Inspector of Prisons has described its airspace as having been ceded, given up to organised crime gangs, attempting to smuggle in drugs and weapons via drones, representing a threat to national security.
It's got the people in there that want the packages. It is serious and organised crime.
It's a Friday night and we're out with Greater Manchester Police. In a covert car, we're being shown an illustration of the types of drones the authorities are finding as part of their investigations.
We've found from previous operations that people around here will just put the drone out with a package attached onto it, fly it over to the prison. You can see the tower of the prison literally from here. The package will go in and the drone will just come back and then they're gone. Just as easy as that and as quick as that.
It's quite an easy exercise, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's easy to do if you've got a good pilot.
It's a growing and evolving problem, and whilst drones have been around for a while now, they've never been more readily available. We don't effectively police the airspace. You can pull a vehicle over, you can stop a person in the streets, you can stop somebody who's going through the prison gate as a visitor and comprehensively search them. It's much more technically complicated than that to stop a drone in mid-flight, of course, and stop it going over the prison wall, especially when you don't know where that pilot may be.
It is a problem right across the country. Last year, we witnessed drones dropping packages of drugs into Wandsworth Prison in South London. And now a report by the National Audit Office has found that governments and the prison service have been too slow to respond to urgent threats, like what they call substantial risks posed by drones, while budgets for security measures and anti-drone equipment haven't been spent.
The prison service has had a couple of big investment programmes that have had underspends against them. Some of the reason for that has been delayed approvals in starting the programme, which has kind of meant they couldn't spend as much as they wanted. It hasn't responded with enough urgency to security weaknesses. And so that one of our recommendations is to improve that urgency of spending in areas where they know there are problems with security.
Absolutely bangers, bro.
Problems with security that are threatening the stability of some of the country's most secure institutions. The inmate that filmed this was given a 9-month sentence for having a phone inside jail.
Security.
It is an issue the government say they're working to tackle, but there's a long way to go. Molly Malone, Sky News in Manchester.
Still to come here on the UK Tonight, the criteria needed to foster children could be loosened under new plans to create 10,000 new foster places. Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jim Davidson lead tributes to John Virgo after his death at the age of 79. Now, rules on fostering could be relaxed as part of government plans to create 10,000 new places for vulnerable children. The number of foster places is plummeting, even though the number of people expressing an interest in becoming a foster parent is on the up. So what's going wrong, and how do we fix it? I'm pleased to say tonight I'm joined in the studio by Trevor Elliott, himself a foster parent who's also founder and chief executive of Kennedy Elliott, which helps to support children in care. Trevor, really good of you to come into the studio tonight to talk to us about a subject you're so passionate about, because you started fostering at the age of 24, which a lot of people will be surprised about because that seems young and pretty unique. Talk to me about why you got into fostering.
A family member of mine was a foster carer, and I looked at what he was doing. I thought it was amazing. He had these young boys, you know, who like aspiring footballers, and I could really relate to them. And I just thought, wow, what an amazing opportunity. And I thought it was just my calling. I really don't actually know how. It's just meant to be for me, and it's changed my life, to be honest.
Yeah, you started by taking in 3 young boys, and you've gone on to found Children We Care For, a charity focused on supporting children in care as part of the wider picture. And you also set up care homes based in London. So you've made a career out of this. And I was just looking at the government plans today, because we've taken a huge interest in the subject on the UK Tonight. The Children's Minister, who we've spoken to before on the show, said that fostering isn't work, it isn't a job. And I sort of get where he's coming from, because people go into fostering for all the right reasons, right? They want to provide care and take in vulnerable children. But at the same time, it is a job, and that's where you come from. That's the angle you're coming at. You know, explain a bit about that to us, because the Children's Minister said it isn't the case.
I understand what the Children's Minister's saying, because you don't want people to be in something, you know, for the wrong reasons and stuff. But for me, it is a job. I take it very serious, like I would another job, and it's something I see myself doing for the rest of my life. So I will sit here and say, actually, I love my job and I love caring, and we need to normalise caring as a profession.
Yeah, why can't the two coexist? And it's interesting because, you know, we've just talked about the fact that the government are going to try and create 10,000 new places, because the fact of the matter is more and more people are looking into becoming carers, foster carers, but the number of places has plummeted. More people are leaving foster caring profession than going into it. Why do you think that is? Is it because you haven't got the structure and support of a profession?
Yeah, I think we're not taken serious. And, you know, we're left to our own devices as soon as 5 o'clock goes. You know, we're just not getting the same support. It's a 24-hour commitment, and cost of living, it's expensive. I was told when I began fostering that I needed to do it full time, and not everyone has that privilege to be able to say, right, I'm leaving my job to foster full time. And so there needs to be more support, more serious thought in how we can help our foster carers have a balanced lifestyle.
Yeah, because as you said, it's 24/7, 365 days a year, and people talk about respite care and, you know, mental health provision, because some of these children have complex needs. So talk to me about the kind of support you did or didn't get, because people will think about the financial aspect. You spoke about it there, the cost of living affecting families. If you bring another child into your home, of course that is going to put a strain on finances. What kind of financial support do foster carers, foster families get, and is it enough? People are uncomfortable talking about money when it comes to fostering.
No, I want to normalise talk about money and care, because they're always separated. It's either you can make money in life or you care in life. You can't combine the two, and I'm here to challenge that narrative. We need to make caring the new cool. It needs to be a profession that people are excited to get into it, like any other profession. I think for me, more training, more support in terms of the out-of-hours stuff. You know, what should we do in this situation? Help our children with education, more support in terms of, you know, making it easier for my children to get education, not having to fight, because you're already trying to fight and readdress their traumas and help them heal. You can't have any more extended barriers. So I think just a wider support system. And also, you know, it's very hard to get a mortgage. It's very hard to rent when you're a foster carer, because it's not always seen as a profession, but it was my full-time profession. So which meant that I couldn't, like some people would have a job and say, right, I'm going to go and rent a place. This is where I want to live. It was harder for me because it wasn't considered an income. You know, so I think we need to normalise being paid to foster. And then hopefully more people feel comfortable accepting, actually, I'm a great human, I'm helping people, and I get paid.
What has fostering given you? It's given you a career, and I like the fact that you're saying that. It's given you a profession, a job you care about, and it's given you an income. But it's given you more than that, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's given me insight that our children are the future. And we need to help our children, because one day they're going to be taking care of us. And so if we don't take care of our children, the children in care are resilient. They get up every day, they fight, you know, they're on their own. Sometimes they're meeting new people all the time, moving from home to home. They're still going. They're strong humans. We need these children in society because they're going to help us one day. And I think for me, it's just changed the way I view life. You know, children are special, and they've just made me feel whole.
And what would you say to anyone thinking of becoming a foster carer in some capacity? Because, you know, it doesn't have to be a full-time role. You can be a part-time.
Yeah, do it. I think a lot of people say they want to do it, and I always say, look, go for it, you know, but get the right support, ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to no question's a silly question. And give it a go, because we all care. Deep down, we all care. It's probably the one given thing, you know, one thing we're given as humans is to care. So we've all got it within us, so go for it.
Oh, well, listen, Trevor, it's been really good to have you in to talk about your experience and what needs to change within the foster care system. That's Trevor Elliott, the MBE, because, of course, you were recognised in the Queen's Honours for the work that you do in the sector. So it's been a privilege to have you in the studio tonight. Thank you, and I'm sure we'll speak again. Thank you. Now, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jim Davidson have been leading the tributes today to John Virgo after his death at the age of 79. The snooker legend winning the 1979 UK Championship, but his work as a broadcaster and commentator is how he will mostly be remembered. Alongside Jim Davidson, of course, he introduced a new generation of fans to the game of snooker with a hit game show, Big Break. Who remembers this?
It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. I'm famed for my aim, so you better believe I'm right. I'm gonna be snookering you tonight. Big Break!
Joined now by Ken Doherty, who appeared on Big Break 21 times, and perhaps more importantly, won the Snooker World Championship back in 1997. Really good of you to come on tonight to pay tribute to your friend and colleague. How will you be remembering him this evening?
Oh, very sadly, you know, it's just, you know, for such a great loss to snooker. He was such a wonderful man. And the voice of snooker, he was known. Of course, he garnered the catchphrase, you know, where's the cue ball going, you know. Everybody loved him, you know, the crowd loved him. They loved listening to him. They loved his commentary. And we all loved him. We loved working with him, you know, all the BBC guys. Anytime you were in the commentary box with John Virgo, it was always a great treat. And he was such a good friend to me. He was a great sort of compatriot and a great teacher as well, in a way, you know, and I loved him very much, and he'd be sadly missed.
He will indeed. And he made commentary theatre, didn't he, in terms of his style of commentating. Obviously, it was a game he loved, a game he played very successfully, and he took that enthusiasm into the commentary box.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. He loved it, you know, and he had a wonderful innate way and ability of being able to dramatise the sport, because sport, he said to me always, was theatre, you know, and snooker, you know, when it got dramatic, it got down to the final frame or the final few balls. He was the one that, you know, could really sort of relate that to the viewer, you know, to the listener, and draw them in, you know, and create that wonderful dramatic story. And that's why everybody loved his voice so much. I remember I was in the commentary box with him, and he was standing off his chair, you know, with the excitement at the end of a frame when Ronnie O'Sullivan cleared up, you know, to keep the match going. And he took his and I was clapping like that in the commentary box to him, watching him in action as he finished the frame. And he sat down on the chair, and he took off his cans, and he looked at me and he says, "Ken, it's theatre." And it is theatre. He just had a wonderful way of it. It was just amazing, you know.
Yeah, it certainly is. Did he reflect much on his own playing career? Did he bring the theatre and the storytelling to that? Or was he quite reserved when it came to that. It was a time for other snooker players, the next generation.
You know, something he never gloated much about winning the UK Championship or his own sort of experiences and his successes as a snooker player himself. He did, you know, he got to the semi-final of the World Championship. He won the UK Championship in 1979. But he would sort of regale stories of not only, you know, his successes, but he would regale stories of Alex Higgins, of sort of Ray Reardon and John Spencer, or playing, you know, Dennis Taylor, Terry Griffiths, all the greats of the 70s and 80s, you know, more so than really talking about himself. He wasn't that type. He wasn't a gloater. He just loved snooker. And he loved the other snooker players that he was involved with and that he enjoyed playing against all through those years.
Yeah, well, let's celebrate his skill as a player. Actually, this clip is going to combine, you know, his entertainment qualities, his theatre and his skill. This is a trick shot he performed on Big Break, which is fondly remembered by so many people watching tonight. I don't know if you can see it as well as us. We're going to play that.
What we're going to do is to pot the black in the corner pocket, which, as you can see, is surrounded by the however many reds. Pot the black in the corner pocket.
First one. Let's have a look, because this is the first.
I tell you what, that brings back so many fond memories for me of watching those programmes of an evening with my mum and dad. It was a real family feel, and he did bring that sort of showmanship to snooker. In a way, he sort of made it the spectacle he is today. He contributed to that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, his trick shots were infamous, you know, his impressions as well of the other players, you know, when he took off Alex Higgins and Terry Griffiths and Ray Reardon, you know, they were so funny, and that they made him a character. And that was his whole new career after he retired from snooker. You know, he went on Big Break, and, you know, 10 million, 11 million sometimes tuned in every Saturday evening to watch it. And I was one who watched it, and I was lucky to appear in it. And I could never do a trick shot, I know that, but I had so much fun, you know, just being in his company and Jim Davidson, and it was great for snooker. But just even in the latter years, you know, just being in his company, playing golf with him, talking about his love of Manchester United, his love of the city, Manchester, his love of horse racing, and his love of snooker, you know. And I just, I think I will miss the times just in the commentary box with him, because that was just you know, it's just a wonderful experience, you know.
Yeah. Well, you were fortunate enough to be able to spend so much time with him, so many good times. Ken Doherty, thank you so much for coming on to pay tribute to your friend and colleague, John Virgo. Really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. Take care. Still to come on the programme, the dispute that's threatening to overshadow Team GB's build-up to the Winter Olympics. And we meet the 91-year-old great-grandfather who's rolling back the years on the trampoline.
Over there, to your left. There have been airstrikes every day. Hezbollah are very sensitive about us showing any pictures, and we're being hurried away right now.
It felt akin to riding into some sort of Armageddon.
Many other areas have been hit badly. There are shells coming in every few minutes. Hear that whistle and that crunch? We know that they're coming from the south of the city, where there's a column of Russian armoury.
I'm Alex Crawford, and I'm Sky's special correspondent based in Istanbul. It's trying to hit us. That's it. It got us then.
There's a lot of action going on. A lot of hits still.
We were the first journalists and the only outsiders to reach the site of the attack several weeks after it happened.
We found from the missile. It's very difficult to see what around here could be conceived of as a legitimate military target.
Only about half a mile from the Turkish coast, a boat seriously overcrowded.
This is one of the most severe viruses in the world.
Clearly not had very much to eat at all, a lot of them extremely thin and very frail.
Look at that sheet of flames, and that has happened within minutes, and now it's coming from both sides. moving this way. The world's largest falls now down to a trickle in places. I can't imagine how much plastic is lying at the bottom of this huge lake. Whoa!
Getting up close and personal with a rhino.
This is what makes the job so fantastic.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking...
Thank you so much.
...trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story? Now, coming up, the great-grandfather proving age is just a number as he wins gold at his first trampolining competition in 40 years. Jess is here with the rest of the sport. I mean, that is a story that is incredible. You take that over to Sky Sports News, but only after I've spoken to him. Right, we are going to talk about Team GB, and being accused of breaching the rules is not something you need to hear on the eve of the Winter Olympics. This involves Team GB's skeleton team. What's going on, Jess?
Yeah, firstly, let me just explain what skeleton is. For those that don't know, it's athletes on a sledge, on an ice track, going down head first. OK, so this involves the British skeleton team.
My producer's just saying in my ear, a tea tray. I mean, he clearly doesn't know.
It is quite small
it's sort of similar,
in
more
size.
skill involved
a little
and faster.
Bit more. Yeah, I think the person that created the sledge, if they heard it being called a tea tray, I think they might be a little bit offended. Anyway, it's regards to the British skeleton team's helmets. Now, they've been told that they don't meet the safety standards. And so, as it stands, they cannot wear them at the Olympics, which is just a few days away. Now, this is seismic because Team GB, no less, are one of the favourites for the gold medal, particularly in the men's competition, and Matt Weston. But the British governing body that looks after these helmets says, yes, they are new helmets, but they have been designed to comply with the latest safety regulations. In fact, they say they're safer than any helmets they've ever used before.
Well, just looking at the picture before that one on the screen, their head is so close to that track.
Isn't it?
It needs to be tip-top, doesn't it, the helmet?
does.
So what are they going to do? I mean, is it as simple as going out and buying new ones? Presumably not.
Well, what Team GB have done is appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. That will be heard tomorrow in court. They'll get a result on Friday, which will just be 6 days out from the competition, which is not ideal for the Team GB athletes. But we do know that they do have their old helmets that they have used previously with them at the competition, so the athletes could go back if they needed to. So
there's always a plan B.
There's always a plan B. Let me update you then on the football coming in just a moment. It's a big night in the Carabao Cup.
Perfect, thank you very much.
A footballer's life is all about moving. I never had a problem with that because I was the one that was progressing in my football career.
The Crazy Gang's welcoming committee were making sure their new arrival enjoyed a warm welcome.
I'd had a small arthroscopy operation, and at that particular time there was a lot of clubs interested in me.
But in a last-minute twist, Wimbledon learned John Hartson would not be moving as Spurs.
John Hartson was last week tipped to be on his way across South London for £5 million. That seems a dead deal.
I don't want to do any more medicals, to be honest.
I can't pass a medical because of this knee.
A downbeat John Hartson was rushed out of Ibrox today, having been given the worst possible news.
We did not believe he was at the correct fitness at that particular time to go straight into Champions League.
Very seldom you see a player in the building walking around at a club and the deal isn't done.
I'm starting to question myself. I'm starting to think, well, where do I go from here?
The best medical he ever failed. And you.
Now, what do you imagine that you'll be doing when you are 91? You've probably not got in mind winning trampolining competitions. But that is exactly what my next guest has been doing. He is Peter Quinney, and he's just won 2 gold medals in a trampolining competition for over 40s. Peter was crowned British champion back in 1960, but before these recent victories, he hadn't bounced in 40 years. Well, I'm extremely pleased to say that Peter joins us now. Peter, first of all, a huge congratulations. This is the very definition of bouncing back after a 40-year competition break. What brought you back to the trampoline?
Hello, Sarah. Good evening. I've not stopped bouncing in 40 years. I've been bouncing on the trampoline now for about 70 years, and I'm still doing it now every Saturday morning in Salisbury at the trampoline club where I coach. What got me back into the competition was one of the ladies in our club doesn't like wearing leotards, so she doesn't bounce in the regional competitions locally. But when Portsmouth advertised this competition for the over 40s and that they didn't have to worry about the leotard wearing, she decided she would like to join the competition. And because she did, the coaches at the club, myself, Sue and Chris, decided to join her and make up a team of 4, which is what we did. And as you've already said, they gave me 2 gold medals, one for the individual and one for the team. And the rest of the team also won gold medals.
Well, this is amazing. As you said, bouncing for 70 years, still going strong. But it was your first competition in quite some time, in 40 years, I understand. Talk me through the routine that secured you gold.
It is, yes, because as coaches, you don't get a great deal of opportunity to actually train yourself. That's one of the reasons why I haven't been entering competitions. I'm quite keen just to carry on doing the coaching.
So what did the routine involve then, Peter?
Just basic moves. One of the criteria for this particular competition was for level 1, there were no somersaults. You could just do 10 basic bounces, and that's all they required of you.
Do you know what? You had the tricky stopping on the trampoline there down perfectly. That's the bit I always struggle with when I take my daughter to any of these trampoline parks. In terms of the benefits of bouncing, I was doing some research, and trampolining is extremely good, not but just for your physical health, but your overall well-being. What kind of benefits does it bring to you and those that you train, Peter?
It's absolutely great from an individual's point of view because it exercises just about every part of the body. And it also gives you the opportunity to sort of get used to your balance when you're wobbling around all over the place. And it's really good for the special needs pupils. And when you do rebound therapy with people who are particularly handicapped, it's absolutely wonderful to see how they can achieve things that they never ever thought they would attempt, let alone achieve. And that's where I get my pleasure from, seeing the joy on their faces when they do it.
I was going to say, Peter, it must be so fulfilling to coach others, but to then go on and win a couple of medals yourself just for good measure is wonderful. And in terms of if anyone wants to get started, is there, well, you know, you prove you can still bounce at 91, but you've got a lot of experience behind you. Can anyone start at any age?
Yes, they can. Yeah, we take them from 5 years up to, well, 90 years now. I had a 75-year-old chap who didn't have any legs who could do a 10-bounce routine.
Oh, God, incredible. Peter, you do great work. And the good news is you don't have to wear a leotard if anyone is worried about that. And Peter, once again, congratulations, double gold medalist in the over 40s event on the trampoline. That is Peter Quinney. Pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, quick check on the weather before we go.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors Sky News weather.
The rest of the week is looking unsettled. Spells of rain and hill snow bringing localised disruption. Breezy and mostly dry this evening. Showers over Ireland fading away. North-eastern Britain will keep some of that patchy rain and mountain snow. However, the southwest will see rain moving in. Southern Britain and the south of Ireland will see that rain taking over tonight, while eastern Scotland will have further patchy rain, sleet and mountain snow. Northern England and Northern Ireland can expect a few wintry showers, but most central parts will be dry. It will be frosty, but windy.
All Clear Travel Insurance proudly sponsors Sky News weather.
I said frosty, I meant frost-free, just to be clear. Right, that's it for the UK Tonight. We're back tomorrow night at 8. See you then. Next up, it's the world.